All right, one more time. It's an improv. It's been troubling me, or it's been asleep in me for some time. And because I've been examining a lot of things, mostly because of the catastrophe that we're in, several catastrophes at once. I suppose they come not single spies, but in battalions. I was remembering the other day, dear, great friend of mine who is tragically passed away last year. He was at drama school with me, one of the great human beings I've ever known. And I hung out with him particularly a lot when I came to the States in the late 80s, early 90s. And he says to me one day, we were talking about plays and, you know, as you do, and talking about careers. And he was teaching at the time. And he said, "Aren't you competitive? Aren't you competitive?" As you know, as if a sort of rhetorical question. And I thought, no, no, I'm not. And I don't know why, but it just was not something that I consider. I mean, you know, if I was running a race, you know, or if I run a race, I would try to win, you know, because that was the fun of it, I guess. But it never stayed with me very long. And I was lucky as a kid growing up, and I was surrounded by many very impressive people, and I suppose I always sort of went my own way, and my own way was probably part of the reason I don't feel competitive. Was I was always quite successful at things like school and sport and things like that, but I was not that interested in any of them. You know, so I sort of bowled passionately along, and I was, as I said, I was very lucky in what surrounded me. So, and it has to be said that when I left school in 1980, left drama school, I went pretty immediately straight into a series of successes. My career began immediately. I didn't have to hang out or anything. So that, anyway, and so a life goes on unencumbered or undriven, unmotivated by competition, which isn't to say that I've met and encountered people for whom I had huge admiration. But that didn't darken my soul because I didn't, you know, and there were people who were more successful than I was. That didn't darken my soul because I also knew that I was incredibly much more successful than other people. And I never thought that I was successful because I was special or more talented or anything like that, because, you know, our success is based on other people's choices. And as I got, but yes, that's the sort of background of competitiveness as in lieu of a career. And, you know, more and more today as I put my wares on tape and I send them off to these decision makers about where I might or might not work. I have people that I work with consistently who I admire, and they admire. There's a great deal of mutual respect for those people. But it was always that way. It seems to have been that way since forever. Anyway, so, and also consistent with that and parallel with that, I have no collective sense of competition. I don't feel like, you know, when somebody says to me, "God, the British were just terrible. Colonial Britain was just terrible," I go, "Yeah, I know." I don't feel put upon. I don't feel hurt. I don't feel, hang on a minute, because I don't feel attached to that at all. And I was talking to a friend last night about this. It just sort of erupted on me that so I never understand that sense of these are my people, And, I listened to Eric Weinstein yesterday, a very intelligent person. And he is big on the fact that it's his people and that his people are very, very special and they're more intelligent and that the more intelligent people. And I just, I can't think of a world more boring. I've hung out with deeply intelligent people all my life. They're not the most interesting. So then one modifies one's definition of intelligence. Don't be intelligent, be interesting. For one thing, be capable of expressing yourself. Yeah. Anyway, so I wondered whether, as competition as a definer of the self, a sense of self. So somebody will say, well, I'm the richest man in the world, or I'm the fastest runner at the 100 meters, or whatever it is. I think, myself personally, Usain Bolt is a far more developed human being than Elon Musk. And his competition was very direct and dramatic. And as he became, too old to run those great races, he doesn't then go away. I mean, there's a presumption in our culture that after the age of 31 or 32, you're supposed to go away and lick your wounds and become an aggrieved old person. And our culture is surrounded by those, full of those people who are all trying to, get their youth back. Like their identity was high school. Ouch. But to be serious, that so many of the catastrophes and the things that we are asked or presented to us to look at and say, well, let's make sense of Ukraine or Gaza or whatever it is. It seems to me all of that, our reasoning about those issues would have to do with our affiliations. And I've already gone extensively into the America's affiliation to the State of Israel, and all of the things that are at work in the world right now, in that part of the world, in the Ukraine and Congo, China, anywhere in the world, they are all deeply, deeply human, but they also seem to be activated by peoples who are very exercised over their identity and the land that attaches to that identity. Let's say the rituals, the physical stone land, the water supply, the growing of the crops, the symbolic, the Black Hills, all of those sorts of things. Now, all I can say is I don't have that attachment. That's meaningless to me. I don't have an equivalent. In other words, for you, it might be the Wailing Wall. I don't have a Wailing Wall anywhere. I don't wail. It's not part of my thing. And I'm a pretty vibrant human being. So, and coming up, I did wonder many times at certain points whether white people in white suits were going to come and take me away, or that I would end up homeless, or because I dared all of that. I dared all of those conventions. I never did work, essentially, that I didn't enjoy or find deeply, deeply, deeply 100 million times meaningful. And I think one of the great exercises as a human being is to seek meaning in everything that you do. And not some religious meaning, not some out there meaning, but for yourself. Like the instrument within should have the sensitivity that realizes, oh yes, yes, I know what that is. And that's definitely a thing that is associated with being a creative person and being an actor. You go, that's the right thing, that's what I'm seeking, and that's what I'm arriving at, and I'm achieving it, and I'm sharing it with people. And so with my friend yesterday, I was thinking about all of these things going on, this tremendous need that most people seem to have for some sort of identity. I need my team. I need my group. Sorry, rationally, to look at the Democrats over the last decade, and I would say over the last 30 years, and to say, I am going to attach myself to that group is almost impossible for me to do morally, intellectually, on any other level. The disappointment is astonishing. And to say that there's a monster on the other side, therefore I'm going, well, I'm sorry. I don't, if I had the need of the team, if I had the need of the sense of belonging to some groovy group, maybe, but I don't have that feeling. I don't have that feeling at all. So it's not the religion so much as the need of identification and the rites of passage that myself have been through and I've observed other people go through, that you can see the defining of the self relentlessly from a very, very young age. I, for instance, as I remember it, I think I'm extremely lucky that for 2 or 3 years of my baby life, say 2.5 to 4.5 years old, I was living in a Muslim country. You make of that what you will, but I would have to say that they're dealing with their children, and therefore I was a child in that community, and my parents were absorbed very much in their own lives. I mean, they were terrific parents at that point anyway. But what surrounded me, which obviously I don't identify with today, except that I was aware of very, very marvelous people, very generous people at 4. More later.